But there's, well, I mean, as you know, we have massively dysfunctional institutions, and they, I, I've thought my field was stuck in a ditch since really before I entered it. The last major progress in my field was 1976, and
Really?
that's what I think. Yeah.
And what was that?
The selfish gene provides us a mechanism. It's basically a synthesis of what we understand about adaptive evolution. It provides the first gateway to understand cultural evolution in rigorous Darwinian terms. I don't think that gateway, I don't think we ever went through it. In fact, when I've talked to Dawkins about his effective discovery, the meme, he doesn't seem to understand the power of it. He thinks of it as, he says in chapter 11 of The Selfish Gene, he says that the landscape of memes is like a new primeval soup, which is not what it is. It's actually a solution that the genes have come up with for how to evolve things like humans more rapidly than can be done at the genetic level. Right? We can evolve at a cultural level, which solves a problem for the genes that the genes can't solve directly. And that means that all of the space of human culture and the culture of other creatures, but our culture is vastly more refined and powerful and diverse. But that space is basically an enhanced, it's another enhancement to the toolkit of Darwinian evolution, which we have unfortunately often dismissed as non-evolutionary or as a parallel kind of evolution rather than as a turbocharged adaptive evolution that is targeted at the same objectives as our genes are, which is what it really turns out to be. So in any case, that was 1976. The thing that has been a revolution since then was evodivo, evolution of development. But it didn't come from the Darwinists. It came primarily from the developmental side. These are people who were focused on mechanism. And so in some sense, the story of the failure of biology to update our evolutionary model is the result of a historical accident, right? So the first Darwinists, including Darwin himself, were not focused on molecular scale mechanisms because they couldn't be. They didn't have any tools to look at those things. And so they looked at the creatures and they saw patterns, and so they became very focused on recognizing the patterns and what they imply about what must be going on inside. But they got out of the habit of thinking about mechanism because the mechanisms weren't available to them. The developmental biologists were exactly the inverse. They didn't really have patience for evolutionary thinking. They were purely about mechanism and all kinds of experiments, like, taking a piece of one egg and grafting it into another egg and watching the weird monster that is created when the egg is getting the same signal from two different directions, right? That kind of thing. Evodivo is a very good start on bringing these things together, but I don't know if it's academic territoriality or just lack of imagination seems to be preventing the revolution in our understanding of the most powerful process that exists. And it's frustrating.